We hear all the reports about Kawhi Leonard's knee. We hear all the reports about, everything about the Clippers simply because them being magnified into being a team that could win the championship that a lot of people picked before the season started. They're being spotlighted in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to social media and things like that, even more than what they were than the first year Kawhi and PG, or Kawhi, I should say, started this operation and put this together with this team, the Clippers. But, the disturbing reports, and information that I see, in regards to, Kawhi Leonard and everything, it really disturbs me because, when you see stuff like this, specifically what you see on the screen, which you guys have probably, heard or noticed or seen before, now. But when you see stuff like this, and then you try to, put it in context, like, okay, Kawhi Leonard is clearly upset with the medical staff because he wants to play, he wants to be out there. And then, just the other day, or should I say the other night, they played the Dallas Mavericks. And in playing the Dallas Mavericks, they lost to them. Very close game, 103-101. I think, of course, Luka hit the shot. The Clippers came all the way back down from 25 and couldn't, extend the rally by winning it. But they came back and they fought hard. But regardless, in that game, before that game, John Wall had said, that he felt good. He felt good about playing against Dallas and things like that. And, all of a sudden, it's left knee management or it's knee management and all this other stuff. And same thing Kawhi Leonard has, knee load management and all this other stuff. And, it's kind of disturbing when you think about things like that, because if John Wall is ready to play and be in the starting lineup and play heavy minutes or, do what he wants to do, what he usually does, if he's ready to go out there, why are they not letting him loose and play the way he wants to? Why is the same thing happening to Kawhi Leonard? And this is the problem I have, when you hear things like that. Of course, we all don't know every bit of things that's going on in the inside of the organization, but when you hear things like that from players and they're not out there playing, it's almost as if it could be taken where they're speaking against their team, because it's like, oh, okay, I want to be out there, I'd rather be out there playing through it, and I'm mad at the medical staff because they're doing everything in their power to be so precautious. They're not allowing me to go out there and play my game the way I'm supposed to. And the same thing with the John Wall situation. You see what I'm saying? So to me, that's very disturbing, because if this team wants to win a championship, how are you going to build the cohesiveness if your main guys aren't out there playing? You see what I'm talking about? And then on top of that, when you think about it, first of all, Kawhi is the best player on the team. If anybody should be out there playing, and if the man says he wants to play and he's angry that he's not out there playing, you should listen to him, because he knows his body better than any CAT scan, any doctor, anybody out there. He knows how he feels and he knows what he wants to do. So I would let him go out there and play, because in my estimation, how are you going to build this cohesiveness and all this chemistry without your best players being on the floor to help you win and help you gain and, get that chemistry? To me, I just don't see how you're going to plug, Kawhi back in here and there, John Wall here and there. I don't see how you're going to plug them in here and there and all this stuff, and they're just automatically going to build all this chemistry enough to win a championship. To be out there, to build chemistry, you got to be out there, you got to play. And that's what Kawhi wants to do. He wants to play. John Wall, that's what he wants to do. He wants to play. He doesn't want to be held back. He doesn't want no restrictions. And you got Ty Lue up here saying all the right things to the media, being as truthful as he can. I'm gonna take him on what he said. He said he doesn't know when Kawhi is coming back. He's asked that question, seemed like every night after every game. So I'm pretty sure he's tired of answering it. I mean, he wants Kawhi to come back quicker than ever, probably, so he can stop answering the same question over and over and over. I mean, he's being, maybe he's being as genuine as possible. And even if he's not being genuine as possible, there's no need to keep asking him the same question over and over. When Kawhi Leonard steps back on the damn floor, that's when he'll be back. So there's no need to keep asking the question. But the media tries to just, pick at you sometime and see if they can get, find flaws in your answers to see if they can turn around and make it a story. And I understand that, because that's their job and that's what they do. But to me, that's, that's not a good recipe for success. But at the same time, it works for them. Oh well. But either way, the point of the matter is, it's really something going on internally with this team to me. And I understand that, the Clippers are doing everything in their power to ensure that Kawhi and, John Wall, PG, whoever will be healthy at the end of the season going into the playoffs. But I don't understand how you're just going to flip a switch and turn into the team that you need to be all of a sudden when playoff basketball is more intense, more everything is magnified times 10 compared to the regular season. I don't see how you're going to have a couple guys go in there and just, with no chemistry built, no camaraderie built with this team, and just have them go in there here and there. You had Kawhi coming off the bench in the beginning of the season. I mean, the least you could have did was had him in the starting lineup. If you wanted to play 14 to 15 minutes in the game, put him in the starting lineup anyway. Why the hell is somebody starting over Kawhi Leonard? I mean, that's not even logical. And this is my thing. The Clippers as an organization have to be so much better than this. And this is the reason why this organization has been snake bitten so long, because they make dumb decisions. And the decisions that they're making really hurts them long term. And they don't really see that. I understand you want Kawhi Leonard and John Wall and, those type players. You're trying to be precautious so they won't get hurt, and you're trying to do what's best for their interests and all that stuff, but really, if they say they could play, if they feel okay to play, if they want to be out there, if their body feels good enough to go out there and give it a go, then you let them go out there and give it a go. Because as I said, no CAT scan, no anything is going to tell you more than what you know about your own self. You know your body better than anybody else. I don't care what a doctor tells you. That's the reason why a lot of people get second opinions when it comes to doctors and things like that, because you know how you feel. A doctor can tell you today, hey, you're 100% to go out there and jump and dunk a basketball. But if your ankle, if your back, if your knee, if your leg, shin, thigh, whatever, isn't feeling right, you know it yourself. No matter what that doctor says, you wake up in the morning, you be like, you know what? I just don't feel right. I need to go get a second opinion. You see what I'm talking about? So my point is, if Kawhi says he'd rather be out there playing, he wants to be out there, which he said a few weeks ago, and then, John Wall, said he definitely would be available to play and want to be out there against Dallas and all this stuff, and then, and then that comes up. To me, it's some flaws there somewhere. And as I said, to me, this team is doing everything they can to ensure that their main players will be healthy by playoff time. But as I said, in the long run, that could hurt you so much, because all the games that they've missed, all the time that they've missed, all the reps they didn't get on the floor, being in a real actual basketball game, not in practice, not in workouts, not at basketball camp, none of that. Being on a real basketball court, playing in a real live game, that experience, that time that you have off, that you're not doing it, is really hurting you, and it really hurts them in the long run. And that's the reason why I say, if the players can play, let them play, because I'm telling you, not building that cohesiveness with the players that's on this team. It doesn't matter if they got Norman Powell. It doesn't matter whether they got Covington. It doesn't matter whether they got John Wall. It doesn't matter whether they got the bench mob on the bench. It doesn't matter whether Batum, any of them. Kawhi Leonard needs to be out there. John Wall needs to be out there. They have to learn to play with each other, first of all. I mean, if John Wall never builds that chemistry with Kawhi, then it's all for nothing, because in the playoff time, he's not going to know how to play with Kawhi, and he's going to force passes to Kawhi at times where it can cause turnovers. And you know what happens when you turn the ball over too much? You're more than likely going to lose. So this is my point. I understand they're trying to be precautious, but to me, they're being overly too precautious. They really are. And Ty Lue is stuck in the middle, trying to say all the right things to the media as much as he can, and maybe be as genuine as possible. But it's not registering. It's not registering at all, and it's not going to help them in the long run. And I think Ty Lue even knows that. And that might be a part of the reason why he exercises lineups a lot and try to do different things, even though Ty Lue is pretty much like that anyway, and I think that's a flaw of his. But still, it's like, now he's going to interchange lineups and experiment in lineups and do different things even more than what he usually does, because he doesn't even know when his superstar is coming back. As what he said in several statements after games, he doesn't know when Kawhi is coming back. He doesn't know when Kawhi is coming through the door. And maybe, like I said, he's being private about it. We understand that if he is being anything private, because Kawhi is a private guy. He doesn't like people talking too much just because he doesn't. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't like people around him talking too much about anything concerning him. So I definitely respect that. But at the same time, this guy should be out there on the floor. John Wall should be out there putting in minutes like he wants to. And it's like when you hear players speak almost as if they're speaking against the organization, they'd rather be out there, but the organization is making a decision for the organization. That's not good, because that doesn't build that cohesiveness, and that doesn't build that trust amongst players and front office men. And when that happens, a lot of times when it's time to leave in the off season, or they have the option to go or to go elsewhere to visit other teams, they'll at least take the opportunity into consideration to listen to what other teams have to say. Whereas if you're on the same page with these players and you get the best out of them and you allow them to be themselves within your organization, and while getting the best out of them, that makes a better chemistry for the long run. And this is the reason why I said you want to listen to Kawhi Leonard if you're the Clippers, because if you don't, remember, this is the second year of his contract where he has the option to possibly walk or do something else or go elsewhere. So, and plus, besides, Kawhi has the type of power where he can make a trade happen if he wanted to, because he's a superstar player. He's up there with the, KDs and LeBrons and, Stephen Currys and people like that. He can make decisions like that. He can find a way to make that happen. So to me, I wouldn't get on Kawhi's bad side, because we saw what happened with the Spurs several years ago. They got on Kawhi's bad side, and the Spurs haven't been a good team since. Whereas if they had Kawhi Leonard through all these years, they would probably have at least 2 more championships. So my point is, as I said, if Kawhi wants to be out there playing, you might want to let him go out there and play. Because as he knows and everybody else knows, when you come off of ACL surgery, you might experience some stiffness. You might experience some of that because you haven't been playing that much live NBA games, up and down the floor, going through that grind. You haven't been doing it for a while, so your body isn't used to it. And plus the fact that Kawhi gained some weight over the past season or so, add all that muscle and stuff like that, that could be hindering his knee too a little bit. So, I think Kawhi slimmed down a little bit, as the season goes on, because he'll work out some of those kinks. And on top of that, playing 82 games in a season, you'll drop some pounds, I believe. It's a lot of basketball to be played and a lot more conditioning to do. So dropping weight should be pretty easy for him to do, and getting back into almost the shape or size he was before he got injured. So that can have a little to do with it as well. But even still, if the man wants to play, if he feels good enough to play, he should be out there. And because like I said, this team needs him. They're 8-7 right now. They're 1 game above 500. They just lost to Dallas in a heartbreaking loss. Paul George is inconsistently consistent. Sometimes against a team like the Kings, he'll score 50 points, 40 points. But then a team like when he plays against better competition, he flames out, or he'll put up good points, but he'll turn the ball over 10 times like he did against Dallas. You see what I'm saying? So you need Kawhi Leonard out there. I don't care what you say. I don't care what your strategy is. If this team doesn't build that chemistry, it's all for nothing. And right now you're in the 9th seed in the West. I know it's early in the season, but at the same time, the Clippers should have a better record in 15 games than 8-7. As I said before, bare minimum, they should be 11-4 or 10-5. Bare minimum is what they should be. I mean, based upon all the talent they have on this team without Kawhi Leonard. So my point is, you need him out there. And even still, to me, if he was out there, they would have a better record than what they have. Ain't no doubt about that. But my point is, you need him. You need John Wall. They need to really get acclimated to each other, even more so than John Wall needs to get acclimated to Paul George, because Paul George really isn't the guy. He's the guy playing as the guy until the guy comes back. Paul George isn't the guy because he's too inconsistent. I mean, there'll be a lot of nights where, John Wall might get 5 to 8 assists off Paul George alone, but there'll be a lot of nights also where you'll get 1 or 2 assists off Paul George alone because of his inconsistent ways at times, where he makes bad decisions, shooting, passing, and all the above. And then there's nights where he does shine, but at the same time, a lot of times it's against inferior, smaller competition, not the bigger competition, and that's not going to be a good recipe for success. John Wall needs that chemistry with Kawhi Leonard, because that's the guy, and that's the guy that can bring you home a championship, along with the rest of these guys on this team. So the Clippers going to have to, definitely look at things, analyze things a little bit more. Honestly, I think they might have to, hit the reset button on, certain things, certain aspects that they're thinking about right now with this team. Because right now I just don't see a championship team. And I know the Warriors, when you look at them, they're not that good of a team either, but you got to focus on your self-preservation. Focus on your team. Don't focus on other people and what their record is, and count their money and their tips and, their road wins and losses and, all that stuff. Worry about what you're doing as a team. And Clippers as a team, 8-7 is not what anybody anticipated coming into this season. Because even if Kawhi Leonard didn't even play a game this season, with Paul George on the floor, an all-star like him, and all these other pieces you have, there's no way they should be 8-7 without Kawhi Leonard. So my point is, they still should be playing a lot better, a lot more sound on defense and offense, and they should be a lot more aggressive in their approach and have edginess going into every game with that chip on their shoulder, because this is their year to win it, and everybody's picking them to do it. And it's like right now, when you watch them play as a team, you don't really see how good they can be without Kawhi Leonard, but also you don't really see how good they can be even when Kawhi Leonard comes back, because everybody plays so distant. Everybody doesn't play together. They win games off talent. They don't win it off of chemistry. When they're hot from three, they're hot from three. When they're cold from three, they're probably going to lose. They'll make a comeback in a game, but make it competitive, but they end up falling in some situations that they should not fall in, and losing the teams they shouldn't lose to because of how they're being coached, how they're playing, and how a lack of aggressiveness that they come out there with most nights, it works against their favor rather than in their favor. But I mean, hey, maybe things will change. I'm not impressed with what I've been seeing from the Clippers as a team so far. I'm not impressed with the medical staff or anything about the Clippers right now. Until Kawhi comes back, and until I really see them play more as a unit and a team that plays, together, rather than a team playing through one guy and playing a lot of isolation, take turn basketball, all that stuff. I'm not gonna award them, the thought of, hey, this is a championship team right now. But they got time. I will give them that. Time is on their side, and that's the best thing you can have at this point in the season. You got time on your side to get things better. So let's see what happens, and let's see what changes or adjustments, that'll be made going forward. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos if you haven't. And also, hit the notification bell, subscribe if you like. And hey, till next time.